There's not been many games this season for Celtic where it's been 3-0 up at half time and coasting and seen it out comfortably. It's just not been that kind of season. It's not that kind of team. However, I think you've got to say Celtic find a way to get the job done. Again, it wasn't pretty. At times it was pretty turgid. They're not very creative, but they found a way to win the game and the rumble on. And the pressure now gets piled on to Hearts and Rangers tomorrow night. It was a nervy kind of game. Strange, a very bizarre game. You turn up today and there's Hibs fans who are blatantly and obviously saying they do not want to win this game. And by the way, that's exactly. In fact, at half time, we also get to the
half empty, Mick.
Well, the place was half empty. The ones that were here, I genuinely think they were confused or actually just saying, no, I don't want to win the game. I mean, it's weird. We'll get to the contentious kind of goal before half time. But I'm walking up, it's like you walk down to get your pie at half time, and there's two guys arguing about the handball, kind of angrily suggesting that the goal shouldn't have stood. They were Hibs fans. And I was like, we've smashed through the looking glass here. We've got Hibs fans arguing about a goal that shouldn't have stood for them. So it's a bizarre, and it was weird. I felt for the Hibs players because by the way, they were not lying down. They were getting stuck in. They were down to 10 men, and they were putting in a shift. Not a lot of energy coming from the stands. The only noise is coming from the away end. Celtic, again, when you're playing against 10 men, I know the assumption is that you just go and win the game quite comfortably. It's not quite like that, because you know what it's like. Because Hibs then go, right, you wait to sit back and defend and try and contain and as best they can. Celtic huffed and puffed. They get the goal, and you think at that point they'll kick on and have a comfortable win, maybe get a few goals, but no, they let in a goal, which is contentious at best, badly defended without a doubt. We can argue about the decision, but it was not very good defensively. A silly free kick given away by Konecki, not defended in the box. The goalkeeper doesn't look too clever. Newell controls it, hooked by Crooks back of the net, and then Celtic spent the next 20 minutes in the second half doing nothing, as they do occasionally in games. They'll have these periods when nothing happens, and it's like you keep expecting them to go and get the goal, but you still need to create the goal and find it, and then didn't really create much. And then Ian actually comes off the bench and is going to kill this guy in the place. Ball drops to him. He's the one guy with a bit of composure, puts it in the back of the net. But even then, till they don't go in and get a third that would kill it off and make it comfortable. And at the end, there's a bit of panic sets in. So it's a nervy, kind of jittery game again. But Celtic get to the line and just about fall over it, as always, as I think we do most weeks.
The weird thing is, it almost looks as if Celtic, when they go into this lull during the game, it's almost as if they're saying, turn around to the manager, right, you're going to put some subs on here. And there's an expectation that it'll be James Forrest or it'll be Ian Atchell. Somebody will come on and do something, because everybody else seems to have run out of ideas, energy, whatever it is, they've just fallen into this pattern. And 9 times out of 10, by the way, Martin O'Neill is getting results by turning to that bench. I think Celtic, Celtic have had more goals from the bench this season than any other team in the top flight. So that tells you that the manager's doing his job. But you're kind of looking, going, where is the desire? Where's the energy? Why are they so flat? Why does it always require somebody to come on from the bench to be a game changer? And it was, I thought, James Forrest once again started getting it. People started getting the Hibs defence turned on the back foot. And then Ian Atchell comes up with that finish. And that was just a bit of composure, wasn't it? And you've seen Celtic snatching chances. When that one drops to him, he does really well to bring it down. I actually thought the ball had went up so high off his chest that he would have to wait too long, that somebody would snuff him out. But he let it drop on his, left foot, and he just kind of side-footed that away. It was a lovely, lovely finish. But I'm struggling with this Celtic side to understand why it is that the 11 that get put out on the pitch, it doesn't matter what way he slices it and dices it, Martin O'Neill, very rarely have you looked and gone, that 11, they should go again with that next week.
No, I mean, there's a lot of guys in that team that can't do 90 minutes, so he is having to manage it in terms of any actual is probably the best player, but can't do 90 minutes, so he's got to stay on the bench and be kept back just in case. But then you look at I looked at the wide areas today. I thought Konecki and Yang were poor. The deliveries from that were poor. I think Alistair Johnston starting had a major impact. I thought he was terrific, and I thought he set up the goal for the opener, but his driving runs into the box from deep. He's good on the ball. You can see his quality. He's a higher level. but he can't do 90 minutes, so he tired in the second half and inevitably had to come off. I thought the changes that O'Neill made were interesting because it seemed to put Engels to a kind of right back, right wing back, and McCowan eventually went kind of central, then out to the left. He did try things, and I think it did kind of create a bit more urgency. I thought Forrest was good from the bench, but then you look last week, Forrest started, and I don't think he was great, and he came off after the hour. So likewise, it seems to be that O'Neill, I think he needs to keep 2 or 3 back for games that are in the balance. He needs a bit of quality kept back just in case if they're not comfortable. And most weeks they're not comfortable, so he needs that quality from the bench. But he's fortunate in that Engels coming back, I think, it's a big deal. I thought he was good again today. Wherever he played, I thought Ian Atchell from the bench was good, and Forrest was good from the bench as well. So he had a bit of that just enough quality to get them over the line. But again, Celtic seem to go through these periods of games when they have 15-20 minutes of doing literally doing nothing. I looked at my notepad after like 59 minutes, and it's like a good chunk of the second half, and I'm like, I've not got a note written down here. I mean, Celtic are playing against 10 men.
Exact same here, Mick. Exact same.
I'm playing against 10 men, and I've not scribbled a single note. You're like,
see the word you used there, Mick, see the word you used there for Alistair Johnston and quality. That's exactly right, and I think he's the sort of walking embodiment of all the issues that Celtic have had, because they haven't replaced quality with quality. And when Alistair Johnston, when you see what he brings to that team today, see if your right winger's not having a great game. Chances are, and this was an established pattern of watching Celtic, Alistair Johnston will get down the outside, hit a byline, and set something up, because he'll deliver a quality ball from these areas. And it's all these little bits that get taken out of the team that don't get properly replaced. And when Alistair Johnston, you're absolutely spot on with that. You actually think now, with him coming back at this time of the season, if Celtic are struggling in the wider areas, are struggling to find a creative edge, there's a guy that will deliver that from the fullback position.
By the way, it's not even just that. I was watching him closely. Because his first game back, I wanted to see how he looked in terms of fitness. It's not even just on the ball, because at one point he knocked the ball inside and Celtic kept the possession, and he ran about 50 yards through the inside right channel, and he dragged about 3 players with him, and the ball worked out to Yang, and Yang, I think he won a corner kick. Yang's delivery and final ball was non-existent today, really. But the fact that he is driving that run into those areas and dragging players with him, it created space for others.
It just gives the team a different dimension, Mick, 100%.
Honestly, I know people liked Julian Araujo, but he did not have that attacking instinct at all to do that. And you don't. I mean, I think Tony Ralston is a raw deal at times, and he's really solid at times, but he doesn't have that either. Whereas Johnston has got real game intelligence. He's quality on the ball. He's direct. He creates chances himself and for others. I think he is. I mean, getting him back, he's probably not going to be fit enough to do 90 minutes for the rest of the season. But if Celtic can get an hour at him against Rangers next weekend, it might give them an advantage, something to hang on to. And likewise, and that probably could be the final games. I mean, Muller obviously will be a week, then Hearts that final day. He's going to be a big player for Celtic coming up. I mean, if he get 90 minutes at these next 3 games, I don't think he can do 90 minutes in 3 games, but maybe nearly 90 against Rangers, maybe nearly 90 against Hearts. You could maybe rest him against Muller if you have to, or get him on the bench. I don't know. Has to be managed, but he is going to be a key man, because the difference that he makes, I thought, in his hour today and in the 20 minutes last week as well, was huge.
Yeah, and listen, sorry, Dan, but just to hammer home that point, while he's on the pitch today, he wins, or not wins, but he's fouled by McGrath for the red card, which is a game-changing moment in it, and he then sets up the first goal for Maida. So while he's on the pitch, that's the sort of difference that he can make. And I think when you see it today, and you actually sort of take a measuring stick to where Celtic have been this season, and some of the reasons behind that, it's all to do with Alistair Johnston was a player that was brought in and provided real quality, and not enough of the other guys that have come in that space subsequently bring anything like that to the table, which is why Celtic are having such a struggle this season.